Here, respected dignitaries on dais and all the enthusiastic participants in the auditorium, I am Renu Balera and I feel privileged to welcome you all to the inaugural function of the two-day national conference on implementation of National Education Policy 2020 to adoption of guidelines on NHTQF and curriculum framework and credit systems for four-year undergraduate program organized by Department of Computer Science in association with Library and Information Center under Quality Improvement Program of Savitribai Phule University, Pune. National education policy came into existence as a result of a humongous amount of research by renowned educationists and efforts of policymakers. For successful implementation of this policy, we will not only require positive steps towards the goal, but also blessings from the goddess Sharada, who is known as the goddess of knowledge and studies. I hereby request Swati Patwadan ma'am to reflect these feelings through her prayer. जय शारदे वागीश्वरी जय शारदे वागीश्वरी विधि कन्यकी विद्याधरी वागीश्वरी वागीश्वरी जय शारदे वागीश्वरी ज्योत्स्ने परी कांती तुझी ज्योत्स्ने परी कांती तुझी मुखरम्य शारद चंद्रमा ज्योत्स्ने परी कांती तुझी मुखरम्य शारद चंद्रमा जय तुझा हास्यातुनी जय तुझा हास्यातुनी चारी दुर्गांची भोळी माय तुझ्या कृपेचे चांदणे तुझ्या कृपेचे चांदणे नीत वैष्णवी अनुचार श्री नीत वैष्णवी अनुचार श्री वागीश्वरी जय शारदे वागीश्वरी बरी वीरता तुझी बरी वीरता तुझी चतुरा कलावय अंगुली चतुरा कलावय अंगुली संगीत जन्माये नवे संगीत जन्माये नवे जडतामतीची भंगरी उन्मेष कल्पतरुवरी उन्मेष कल्पतरुवरी जय शारदे वागीश्वरी विधि कन्यके विद्याधरी वागीश्वरी वागीश्वरी जय शारदे वागीश्वरी. Thanks a lot, Swati, for a beautifully sung prayer. As I mentioned earlier, implementation of the National Education Policy 2020 will be a big task. All of us, teachers, non-teaching staff, have to work hard to adopt this reform. This is obviously the main aim behind organizing such conferences. Now I request the person behind all successful ventures of Modern College Shivajinagar, our respected principal and convener of this conference, Dr. Zunzarao sir, to elaborate on the aim of the conference and his thoughts behind organizing it, and also to welcome you all for this conference.
In the inaugural function of 2 days national conference on implementation of National Education Policy 2020, 2020 with a special reference to adoption of guidelines of National Higher Education Quality Framework and Career Framework and Credit System for 4-year undergraduate program. On the dais, we have Honorable Professor Dr. Nitin Karmalkar sir, former Vice Chancellor of Savitribai Phule Pune University, and the keynote speaker in this particular national conference. We have Honorable Principal Dr. A.B. Deshpande sir with us. He is also going to address us on this particular topic. Honorable Professor Dr. Mrs. Josna Ekbote Madam, Joint Secretary of Progressive Education Society and the Chairperson of College Development Committee of Modern College. Organizing Secretary of this conference, Honorable Secretary of Progressive Education Society and Vice Principal of our college, Professor Shamkant Deshmukh, Professor Dr. Nivedita Ekbote Madam, Deputy Secretary of Progressive Education Society, dignitaries of the dais, Professor Dr. Rajesh Khambaez sir, who is going to address us as resource person in next sessions. Other resource persons present over here, Progressive Education Society's authorities, honorable members of Business Council, DOLM and DOLW, principals of several colleges, vice principal, heads of the department, teachers, researchers, representatives of print and electronic media, honorable organizing committee members, and all dear participants. We all are delighted to welcome you all in this particular conference. As many of you know now, Department of Computer Science and Library and Information Center of our college have taken initiative in organizing this conference. However, members of staff, teaching and non-teaching of almost every department has greatly contributed towards organizing this particular conference. On behalf of Progressive Education Society's Modern College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Autonomous, Shivajinagar, Pune 5, we are grateful to the authorities of Savitribai Phule Pune University for providing us financial assistance for organizing this particular national conference. I am very happy to mention here that more than 275 participants have registered themselves for this particular important national level conference. We have been discussing with several stakeholders, teachers, administrative staff, non-teaching staff, parents and students, past students about 4-year degree course. And in the discussion, several issues are being raised, and I am sure these issues are going to be addressed by the resource persons in this 2 days conference. The issue in the discussion is whether along with 4 year UG program, which we are discussing, 3 year degree program will continue or it will be discontinued. That question has been asked by many of the stakeholders. Whether along with 4 year degree program, 3 year degree program will also continue or it will be discontinued. That question has been asked by many of the stakeholders. Of course, teaching and non-teaching staff members who are working in grant in aid section, they have been asking a question, teachers teaching to this 4 year degree program, whether they will continue to get salary grant or there will be some different kind of decision. And I am sure this issue will also be addressed by concerned authorities. When we were discussing with our stakeholders that what will be the requirement when we start implementing 4 year program, if a college has 60 classrooms, out of which 20 are used for first year, 20 for second year, and 20 for third year, then obviously for fourth year implementation, the college will require 20 more classrooms. So in short, infrastructure requirement is going to increase by 20%. We have been using the word workload with respect to teachers' work. Workload is likely to increase by 20%. Duration for completion of the graduation is going to increase by 25%. So parents and students are concerned about it. However, there is a positive side to it. We have been talking about skill development or employability enhancement, and then we realize that 3 years duration is very short to incorporate skill development component in the education. So this is an opportunity. We understand that fourth year can be used mainly for skill development aspect or employability enhancement aspect with respect to students. So that is going to be the positive side. But as I said, there are certain issues in the discussion, and I'm sure the resource persons will address and clarify our doubts and queries. Usual procedure when we start new courses, university design the syllabus. The board of studies, they design the syllabus. So some teachers are of the opinion that board of studies of universities will design 4 year program. And of course, in technical terms, universities will institute the program, made available the program to the colleges. Usually colleges have to apply that we want to start this course. So is it that the procedure will remain same? Designing a 4 year curriculum by Board of Studies of University, then institution of the courses being offered to the colleges, colleges applying for the course. Some college would like to apply, some colleges may not apply considering this infrastructure and other issues. Will that option be available to the colleges or it will be mandatory for the colleges to start this kind of programs? So such issues, I am sure in this 2 days program, we will get our doubts clear. Our organizing team has successfully tap or they could reach to the galaxy of eminent personalities as resource person, and we feel happy that really experienced eminent personalities have accepted to become the resource person in this particular conference. As we have been telling our student, you get information in the classroom, but you see that the information gets converted into knowledge and knowledge gets converted into wisdom. I think it is applicable to conferences like this also. We will be getting information through the lectures delivered by a resource person. Through the discussion session, let us make effort that this information gets converted into knowledge and knowledge into wisdom. And at the end of the conference, we become in better position to successfully start the process of implementation step by step. When we talk about the aims and objectives of higher education, as many of you know, first is knowledge creation is the objective. Knowledge compilation is another objective. Knowledge dissemination is another objective, and last is knowledge application. In these conferences, we have given opportunity to the researchers to present their findings, research papers. So definitely towards one of the important objectives, knowledge creation, professors have taken important and it is going to be useful. On behalf of organizing committee, I would like to appeal everybody to attend all the sessions, participate in the discussion whenever we get opportunity. Do ask question whenever the opportunities are given to you. Whenever such conferences are organized, I think the outcome has to be compiled. We will definitely do that, or the resolutions will be drafted. These outcomes and resolutions will be forwarded to the policy makers, decision making bodies, so that in the process of implementation, this conference will have important contribution. I once again welcome everybody present over here on behalf of our college, and I express my best wishes for the success of this particular conference. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Zanzaro, sir. It is a pleasure to start this national conference on implementation of National Education Policy 2020 in the presence of such galaxy of intellectuals. In the coming 2 days, we will have an opportunity of listening to veterans in the various fields of education. Though all of us know all the dignitaries on the dais, we would certainly like to know more about them. I now request coordinator of this conference, Professor Sonali Deshmukh Madam, to introduce today's guest of honor, former principal of Brihan Maharashtra College of Commerce and founder president of Center for Education Development Administration, Professor A.V. Deshpande sir.
Thank you, madam. Good morning, all. With immense pleasure, I take this opportunity to introduce eminent personality, Principal Professor Aniruddha Bhalchandra Deshpande sir. He is a former principal, Deccan Education Society's Brihan Maharashtra College of Commerce, Pune. He has 39 years of experience in teaching profession. Under his leadership, college was recognized with a College of Potential Excellence A grade by NAC and Best College Award by the University of Pune. Sir is recipient of Best Principal Award by the University of Pune. Sir is also member of Executive Council of National Assessment and Accreditation Council (NAC) from 2004 to 2008. He is founder president of Center for Education Development Administration, an institution working for quality movement in higher education. He has attended fifth ministerial conference of World Trade Organization held in Mexico at Cancun. He has published articles on several social, economic, and educational issues. Sir has a research publication on economic thought of Justice Mahadev Govind Ramde. He has authored and co-authored books on management, banking and finance, and marketing management. He is member of peer teams of NAC to assist the colleges and university departments. He is governing body member of Indian Institute of Advanced Studies Shimla. He is also National Secretary of Swami Vivekananda Shraddha Samiti, Shraddha Samiti Samaroha Samiti. He is president of Rambhav Malgai Prabodhini from 2014 to 21. Thank you, sir, and we all welcome you here.
Thanks a lot, Sonali Madam. I now request coordinator of this conference, Sen Gupta Madam, to introduce today's keynote, our Vice Chancellor of Savitribai Phule Pune University, the very dynamic administrator, Dr. Nitin Karmakar.
Thank you, Renu Madam. Honorable dignitaries on the dais, of the dais, and dear participants. It's my pleasure to introduce the of the 2 days National Conference on the implementation of Education Policy 2020, Professor Dr. Nitin Karmalkar sir, who is a blend of strong academics and research experience along with administrative expertise. The ex-Vice Chancellor of the Savitribai Phule Pune University, Professor Dr. is former head of the Department of Science and Department of Geology, Savitribai Phule Pune University. He is a well-known scientist in the field of igneous petrology, with more than 25 years of teaching and more than 30 research publications in various national and international journals. He is actively involved in academics and research, along with constantly guiding various facets of academia in the role of member of Board of Studies and Research and Recognition Committees for Geology and Environmental Science. Under his proficient and dynamic leadership, Savitribai Phule Pune University emerged as a premier institute of higher education at the national and international level. Professor Karmalkar sir has worked with various research collaborators from Australia, France, and Germany. Under his guidance, more than 20 students have completed their research dissertations and have completed their PhD. He is a council member of the Geological Society of India, Bangalore, and fellow of the Maharashtra Academy of Sciences, India. Sir has received the prestigious Professor C. Naganna Gold Medal of the Mineralogical Society of India, Mysore, towards his contributions in the field of alkaline magmatism of the Kutch region, Gujarat. He has worked as the chairman of the prestigious Birbal Sahani Institute of Paleosciences, Lucknow, under the central government's Department of Science and Technology. The Honorable Chairman of University Grants Commission, New Delhi, had nominated Professor Karmalkar sir as a member of the governing body and governing council of Consortium for Educational Communication, that is CEC, which is an inter-university center and works as a nodal agency at national level to address the higher educational needs of the country by producing and disseminating multimedia education content. On 26 December 2022, a resolution was issued by the government of Maharashtra in regard to the formation and working of the steering committee by the State Higher and Technical Education Ministry. Under the chairmanship of Professor Dr. Nitin Karmalkar sir, the government of Maharashtra has constituted the 14-member Sukanu Samiti, that is the steering committee for better implementation of the new education policy 2020 in the state from the academic year 2023-24. We are grateful to you, sir, for accepting our invitation, and we are eagerly waiting to listen to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Santashri Madam. I request Dr. Vijayintimala Jadhav Madam to introduce the Joint Secretary of Progressive Education Society and our motivator, Dr. Jyotsna Ekbote Madam.
Honorable dignitaries on the dais and dear participants, it is a great pleasure to introduce Professor Dr. Mrs. Jyotsna Ekbote Madam. She has teaching experience of 36 years in Ferguson College. Professor Dr. Mrs. Jyotsna Ekbote Madam is a Joint Secretary of Progressive Education Society, a reputed education corporate institute in Maharashtra. Madam is working as a member of Governing Council of Progressive Education Society, Pune. At present, she is holding post of Joint Secretary of Progressive Education Society. She is also shouldering responsibility of a chairperson, CBC of Modern College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Shivajinagar. Professor Dr. Mrs. Jyotsna Ekbote Madam is also working as a chairperson of Modern College of Engineering, Shivajinagar, chairperson of Junior College, Nigdi, chairperson of PS Modern Girls High School and PS Girls Hostel, At present, approximately more than 200 girls are residing in this hostel. She is working as a convener of Women Empowerment Cell and Women Redressal Cell of Modern College of Arts, Science and Commerce. Related for Maharashtra's higher education Board of Studies in Biology. She is associated with various social organizations for needy and deserving people. Madam was working as operator of Pune Municipal Corporation and was holding President of Women and Child Welfare Committee, Pune Municipal Corporation. Madam was elected as a corporator with thumping majority in the PMC election held in the month of February 2017. Madam got many prestigious awards. She is a recipient of Best Teacher Award by Pune Municipal Corporation, recipient of Education Icon of Pune, Women by Lokman. While working as a chairperson of various local managing committees of different school colleges of Peace Society Pune, Professor Dr. Ekute Madam has helped and guided needy, poor, and deserving students from lower and lower middle class. She helped poor and needy students by donating them books, notebooks, educational materials, stationery, and by providing them free education. Various national and international conferences were arranged in the colleges managed by PE Society under the able guidance of Professor Mrs. Josna Ikote Madam. Various blood donation camps was also arranged under her guidance. She is constantly working for encouraging sports activities among the students. Madam put forth a scheme for the needy student pursuing their postgraduate courses. Under this scheme, an opportunity is given to the postgraduate student to work as a part-time. This scheme is providing a good financial support to our PG students. Professor Dr. Josna Ikutta Madam conducted awareness program for farmers with the help of the students of postgraduate wing. Under the guidance of Professor Mrs. Josna Ikutta Madam, students of Modern College Shivajinagar Pune 5 actively participate in the organ donation awareness mega campaign. Madam took active part in arranging counseling camps for various problems of the students of various age groups for neighborhood community. She arranged various workshops of making soaps, perfumes, liquid soaps for housewives. Nearly 1,500 women were benefited by these workshops. Professor Mrs. Ekutta Madam took active part in arranging various workshops, programs for safety and empowerment of lady staff members of various schools, colleges managed by PE Society Pune. Under the able guidance of Professor Mrs. Ekutta Madam, a unique lecture series on the collaboration with reputed Marathi newspaper Delhi Sakar involving experts from various fields was arranged by Progressive Education Society. Thank you, Madam, for being with us.
Thanks a lot, Vaijayanti Madam. We are very fortunate to have veterans in the different fields of education to inspire us. I request Joint Secretary of Progressive Education Society, Dr. Josna Ikote Madam, to felicitate today's guest of honor, A.V. Deshpande sir. Now I request Dr. Ikote Madam to felicitate keynote speaker of the conference, Dr. Nitin Karmakar sir. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I request Principal of Modern College Shivajinagar and convener of the conference to felicitate Joint Secretary of Progressive Education Society are Professor Dr. Jyotsna Igote Madam. I now request Secretary of the Conference, Vice Principal and Head of the Computer Science Department, Shamka, to felicitate convener of this conference, Dr. Rajendra Zinzaga sir. I request coordinator of the conference, librarian Dr. Shantashri Sengupta Madam, to felicitate Deputy Secretary of Progressive Education Society, young and prolific leader Dr. Nivedita Ekbote Madam. Thanks a lot, everyone. National Education Policy 2020 outlines the vision of the new education system of India. The vision of this policy is to build an education system rooted in Indian ethos that contributes directly to transforming India by providing high quality education. All of us have gathered here to know more about this policy. I request all dignitaries on the dais to digitally inaugurate the conference organized to fulfill our curiosity about the National Education Policy 2020 and its implementation. Thank you so much. Progressive Education Society is one of the prestigious educational institutes in the Maharashtra. Under the able guidance of Dr. Gajanan Ekbote sir, Progressive Education Society is expanding its horizon. Joint Secretary of Progressive Education Society, Dr. Mrs. Jyotsna Ekbote Madam, also plays a very vital role in the progress of this society. Being an educator, an administrator, and socially active person, Dr. Mrs. Ekbote has many facets to her personality. I request Dr. Jyotsna Ekbote Madam to guide the audience.
Namaskar and a very good morning, very fresh morning to all. Dignitaries on the dais, Principal Dr. Aniruddha Deshpande sir, Professor Dr. Nitin Karmalkar sir, former Vice Chancellor of SPPU. We are very fortunate to have these two stalwarts amongst us. Deshpande sir was a member of draft committee of NEP 2020 and Karmalkar sir is right now he is chairing the steering committee for implementation of NEP 2020 in the state of Maharashtra. These two esteemed personalities will crystal clear the ideas of this conference. Secretary of Progressive Education Society, Professor Shamkan Deshmukh sir, the principal of this college, Dr. Zunzarao sir, Deputy Secretary of the Trust, Dr. Nivedita Ikbote, and the dignitaries in the auditorium, like Dr. Beena Inamdar is there. I welcome you, madam. Uh, Now, this conference is for adaptation of guidelines on NHEQF and curricular framework and credit system for 4-year undergraduate program. And as you all know, that this is organized by Modern College of Shivajinagar, which is autonomous college. Progressive Education Society is an internationally renowned educational trust. It was founded in 1934. Now, sir, we will be becoming 89 years old, and next year will be we will celebrate 90 years of this educational trust. This was founded in 1934, as I said, by Guru Varya Shankarrao Kanetkar sir and his 4 teacher colleagues. That was the pre-independence era, and that time Kanetkar sir thought of being progressive and modern. He was a very visionary teacher. Since this educational trust was founded by the teachers, the sanctity of education is maintained, and still this is run by all the teachers. Our chairman, Dr. G.R. Egbote, he is a professor of surgery in BJ Medical College, Pune, and we are successfully running this trust because we are progressive and modern. Dr. Egbote is a surgeon by profession, and all the 95% of members of our management are teachers. I am a teacher. Professor Shamkar Deshmukh is a teacher in computer science. Dr. Zunzarao is professor of botany. So this is a unique trust which is founded by teachers and still managed by teachers. Under the able chairmanship of our beloved chairman, Dr. G.R. Egbote, we run more than 62 units with 16 colleges, many schools, research institutes, and we cater the needs of 60,000 students and about 4,000 teaching and non-teaching staff. Since we are progressive and modern, when any new idea or concept comes, we adapt it first. We take special efforts to keep our staff and students updated, and as a part of our motto, this 2 days national conference is arranged. The higher education sector in India is going through its transformation stage. India has been forecast to be one of the youngest countries in the world gearing towards knowledge based leadership. 2 days ago, I read one news in Times of India, and that was an interview by eminent educationalist from USA. And according to him, he said that Indian higher education is lagging behind 20 years than the developed countries. In this context, this NEP 2020 is going to relate with this, and we are going to have this educational system which will be comparable with all these developed countries like US, UK. Aligning this, the NEP 2020 aims to meet the changing educational requirements, innovation, and research through bringing in the host of changes in the educational system right from pre-primary years to higher education. It promotes rigorous research-based specialization and opportunities for multidisciplinary work and interdisciplinary thinking at graduate, master's, doctoral level. One of the major changes is changing the 3 years UG course to 4 years multidisciplinary UG program. And this conference is based on this thought only. With multidisciplinary UG program with multiple entry and exit options to orient the students with right skills, attitude, and employability. Now, I will not uh, talk much more because we have these 2 speakers with us. Sir, I offer my sincere gratitude and wholehearted thanks to Deshpande sir and Karmakar sir. Again, I welcome you all on behalf of Progressive Education Societies, Modern College, and myself. We are really overwhelmed by your response. Too many registrations are there, and I think that and I wish also you will enjoy your stay for 2 days here. We have tried our best to provide you all the facilities. If you find anything, you or Deshmukh sir, we are always here, and both the sirs have agreed to guide us in spite of their busy schedule. So again, I am more than delighted to welcome you all. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Ikbote Madam, for sharing thoughts of wisdom with us. Words do two major things. They provide food for the mind and create light for understanding and awareness. And if these words come from very knowledgeable person like Dr. Karmalkar sir, they are calmed in heart. Let us have pleasure of listening to Honorable Dr. Nitin Karmalkar sir. I invite him to deliver his keynote address.
Namaskar. Very good morning. Respected Gayas, Professor A.B. Deshpande, today's guest of honor, Dr. Mrs. Yusma Ikbote, and Secretary PS, my colleague in the university, and also the faculty at the Progressive Education Society's Computer Science Department, Professor Shamkant Deshmukh sir, Principal Jindara sir, and respected audience. Indeed, it's a privilege to be with you this morning, talking on, or rather discussing and deliberating on the various different facets of the new education policy. In fact, we all know that it came into existence in 2020 and we are in 2023. So a lot has been talked about, basically all the different aspects, many of them unknown to you. Implementation obviously is going to be very important. And from that point of view, in fact, at the state level, after this policy came into existence, a small committee under the leadership of Dr. Marshall was constituted to understand, first of all, the various different aspects of the policy and in what best way it can be implemented. So, Mashalkar committee submitted a report almost 7-8 months time before. And subsequent to that, in fact, he had suggested 4 small subcommittees to work on 4 more verticals, especially the switching over the degree program from 3 years to 4 years. How do you go about it, and what should be the curricular framework as well? And that report was submitted under the leadership of the former Pro Vice Chancellor Mumbai University, Dr. R.D. Kulkarni, and it was accepted by the government in the month of December, or rather November, and subsequently University Grant Commission also came out with the NHEQF, National Higher Education Quality Framework, and that mentions about basically for 3-year degree program, the maximum credit would be 120, and for the 4-year program, you can do 160. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's just guideline. Like you needn't be like regimenting it to just sticking to 120 only, because it could be a little. There can be a flexibility. It can go almost up to say 135, that is what we are thinking of. And for 4 year degree program, obviously it can be from 160 to 185. That's the maximum limit that we are deciding as. And then various different about basically that there is a provision of and multiple exit. So obviously also to consideration the formulation of credit, because if some person is for exit, certain things are made mandatory that he should get some experience, maybe hands-on experience for college and internship, or maybe some credits on entrepreneurship, some credits of skilling. And after completing those many basically credits, only he can take the exit. It's not that suddenly he decides and go to the system also, because certain things are being made very mandatory sort of. Same is true for the diploma, and if he continues for all the 3 years, obviously the degree courses. Fourth year, to great extent, more emphasis has been given on what is called as basically internship. And second is the research project or research work as such. So entire 1 year perhaps you devoting it to the internship or maybe a research project that you will be doing. And this is something very interesting because based on this, you will be going to get the honor degree if he gets 75% of grading sort of. And then if has completed research project, perhaps with the 75% of grading, he can get a direct entry for his doctoral work. These are some of the provisions that are made in the new education policy as well. And this is very interesting because the various different pillars of this policy that include basically first, first and most important the access, second being equity, third being quality, fourth being basically affordability, and fifth is accountability. So these are the five pillars. So access means we have to basically provide access to all. In the sense, who are interested to the national level, if you look at the present gross enrollment ratio to the higher education is about 27%, which they intend to increase to almost 50. So half the people, half the students are still away from this. And that's the reason basically this multiple entry, multiple exit program has been brought in. Because we have seen especially certain disruptions can lead to a losing of a student permanently basically from the education sector as well. We have seen in the recent time because of the COVID, it is the UNESCO that has given a sort of a tentative sort of estimate that is roughly around 9.5 million year students permanently lost their education as to say completely have gone away, gone out of this education system. So the challenge is twofold. First of all, we have to attract him to the higher education, and second, perhaps to retain him in the system. And that's the reason basically 7 years of window has been provided. So in 7 years, he can take multiple entries and multiple exits. But that also has created confusion many times, and people ask like whether an engineering student can or a science student can go for engineering straight or engineering student perhaps can come to science. Yes, this is true that engineering person obviously who has cleared the CET and then taken admission to the engineering, and then later on he finds it difficult that I cannot continue, I cannot cope up. He can take a return. He can get back to maybe another other discipline like commerce or even social sciences or arts. So there he can basically switch over. And the best part of this switching over is that he will not be losing the years. Whatever credits he has earned, those will get deposited or credited to his degree. So previously, normally, we all know in the Indian higher education system, it is not the student actually who has a choice. It is basically the parent decides his choice. Is it? Most of the time, it is thrusted upon him. It is always like my son has to be engineer or my son has to be a doctor. Well, these are the most two popular disciplines actually. And by hook and crook, by all means, many times like sometimes on the basis of merit and sometimes basically by paying extra money, the forcibly the student is admitted to the engineering. And then we after a year basically is there the student that he cannot cope up this field with basically the career. He's not finding it he's not comfortable and he wants to take a exit. But parents are worried what the society will say. We have spent so much money, he's been admitted, so and so, and then you will be losing a year. So that losing a year now will not be a problem in the sense that automatically get adjusted. His credits get deposited to whatever choice he decides basically going for maybe some other program, some other faculty. There's a choice, the credit that he has earned actually gets accounted or rather deposited to his credit tester. So this is basically the beauty part of this exit and entry, multiple entry and exit program. The other aspect that has been talked about, it has to be multidisciplinary in character. What is called the MERU, multidisciplinary research intensive institutes and all that. So multidisciplinary means basically the entire curriculum will be a multidisciplinary character. The idea will be basically that whatever core subject he decides to that particular core subject, what other kind of information or other kind of knowledge that is required in the associated region, associated areas basically. So a student doing psychology, perhaps to understand psychology, we must understand the physiology of a human being. So the physiology part, then the various different kinds of stresses he is exposed to, maybe because of the kind of job he is exposed to, what is called as the occupational hazards. So the occupation, the industry setup, the commerce, the economic background, the social aspect, all that actually needs to be understood while learning the psychology. So that is what is the multidisciplinary kind of a nature of that particular course. And same is true for all different disciplines as well. So it's just not amalgamation of like two courses from commerce, two courses from management, or two courses from art. It's not that way. In fact, this is going to be a real challenge, especially you mentioned about the board of studies. It's going to be a challenge before the board of studies to formulate a very proper kind of syllabus which will be very attractive kind of thing. And while so, obviously, the student has been given a choice. He can adopt certain credits from other different institutions. As in the state of Maharashtra, there are 13 odd state public state universities. So wherever the best credits are available, the student is being provided that choice. He can acquire that particular credit through a process called ABC, Academic Bank of Credit, wherein a portal has been created. The institute has to register on that particular portal, so is the student. And then after acquiring those credits will get validated. And if you have successfully completed those credits, those would get transferred or to great extent get deposited to his account. So that ABC provides him that particular flexibility to acquire or adopt credits from other institutions also. And this is something very interesting, and that's the reason I said like every syllabus that we produce has to be, this is going to be challenging. Otherwise, you'll be losing basically, is it not? The competitiveness is being maintained so that the curriculum formation or the syllabus formulation is going to be very key factor. And therefore, just not looking at the structure, what this NHEQF speaks of, but providing a beautiful or a wonderful kind of a curriculum that is going to be a challenging factor or a challenge especially for the board of studies as well. And for that purpose, to do that kind of a syllabus, obviously, you have to have a networking. It's just not BOS alone can formulate that particular course. You'll have to have a tie-up with basically various different organizations, maybe research institute, maybe industry, maybe social organizations, so that the best of the thing can be adopted or to a great extent get reflected in the curriculum. What is required in the society, and therefore it will not be basically sticking to your own institute. You'll have to look beyond what is happening in the society, because the fourth year is going to be important. You need to provide him what is called as an internship, and to provide such a large amount of internship, because our structures are very large. Look at the University of Pune. Every year, 7.5 lakh students get enrolled for their graduation program. Of that, 40% of the students actually go for commerce. So, providing, say, all those 40%, if they think of going for a 4 year degree program, think of those students, like almost 3.5 lakh students. I like to make a provision for them to send them to a proper institute where they will get their internship. So you will have to have a tie with maybe the Institute for Chartered Accountants, Institute for ICWA, Institute for Company Secretary, or maybe there are many more such organizations, the banking sector. So you require to have a very strong kind of a networking, and therefore just to bring them basically in the system, you need to have basically a constant sort of a dialogue with them. And it is just not looking at the CSR of industry, but bringing them onto the campus, providing them basically space. Space not necessarily for an R&D unit. Yes, R&D unit also can be providing a physical space that's going to help immensely. At the same time, involving them in your curriculum formational or in designing this curriculum as well as for teaching purposes. Then only the industry would come. Otherwise, why in the first place the industry should come? And the research project obviously are going to be of society important. The industry on which the basically the industry working on basically those research problems would be the research problem, the school industry, and that is how this could be a win-win situation for both the industry as well as for the academic institutions as well. So networking is going to be very important, and that is what, in fact, the UGC has come out with what is called the professor of practice. The professor of practice, the new kind of thing that they have developed, wherein you can bring in a person from industry or any organization who is basically a knowledgeable, who has acquired basically lots of experience and a knowledge, and through this positioning, basically, you would be of immense use to you both for teaching, but basically providing sort of inputs in formulating the right curriculum. So the whole idea is basically after the exit, after 4 years, the student will gain his livelihood. So he will be immediately accepted in the society. First of all, we are providing him internship. So while undergoing internship, obviously, then he's getting trained, he's getting a hands-on experience. If he's a good person, the industry itself will not like to lose that person. So automatically he will get retained as well. And that is what is the beauty of this 4 year degree program. Of course, the list of questions principal raised, what are going to be the problems, especially the most important problem near and dear to every teacher is the workload. Okay, and how the workload is going to increase, how basically it's going to change, or whether the government is going to pay for it or not. So those are basically technicalities, and those are getting basically. It's not that I'm virtually. It has become a ritual for me. Every day I'm attending or speaking to a different sort of audience, speaking about this new education policy. But the idea is just not giving it, some sort of a brief about this policy, but also to understand the various different issues the teaching community, the all different stakeholders they have in their mind and then in what best way we can resolve those issues. Although this steering committee is formulated, and I'm chairing that. But at the same time, the steering committee, I would like to make it very loud and clear that it is a between the government authorities and community. So I am obviously being a teacher, former vice chancellor, professor. So I intend to understand your issues, your problems, your concerns, and then address them to basically the government authorities. So as amicably. That is the very purpose of formulation of this particular committee as such. And through various different discussion and deliberation, we are working on that. Presently, we actually have decided, of course, there are various different verticals of this new education policy, but we have decided to concentrate on three different aspects. One is basically changing the curriculum or switching over from 3 years degree course to 4 year degree course. The first question that was asked, or other people have in their mind, whether from this coming academic year the 3 year degree program is going to get stopped, which is not so. It will continue along with the 4 year degree program. So we are not closing anything right away because we have to still like, first of all, we are experimenting with it. We cannot just straight away stop anything. Then the second thing that we are doing basically is is actually mentoring various different sort of stakeholders, especially the teachers, regarding the NHEQF, National Higher Education Quality Framework. How do we formulate basically the entire structure of the 4 year degree program as such? So on which basically we are conducting various different sort of sessions. R.D. Kulkarni himself is on YouTube every Friday. In fact, in the afternoon, he generally is available in an online mode, and whatever questions that you have, basically the questions will be answered. Second, obviously, bringing equivalence. That is the second vertical that presently we are working on. Equivalence in the sense the same degree, for example, a BSc structure is a different in Shivaji University, or maybe it's different in Mumbai University. Somewhere it is for 120 credits, somewhere it is 110 credits, somewhere it is 155 credits, and so on and so forth. So we are very keen to, in fact, bring in basically the equivalence justice. So more or less the structure, whatever that we adopt to, uh, whether it's 135 credit courses for the degree program, 3 years degree program, or 185 for 4 year degree program, would remain the same in all 13, 14, at least the state universities. So if someone basically, because that's going to be important, he would be taking credits from other institutions also. So there has to be equivalence, otherwise there would be issues sort of. So we are actually working on that particular part, bringing equivalence to the various basically degree structure that we have in all 13, 14 different universities as well. And third, maintaining the academic calendar. That is going to be also very challenging. So the commencement of courses, commencement of basically the semester would be the same in all the 13 state institutes. So that only this kind of horizontal transfer would be feasible. Otherwise, it would create problems as well. So these are the three areas presently the committee is concentrating. And then we have decided which all higher education institutions basically who can start these programs. We are not basically going for the entire state. That would create basically some sort of a confusion, some sort of chaos. We to avoid that chaos. In fact, we want to experiment it first of all with the autonomous institutes, and since they are autonomous or have got their autonomy for various different reasons, because of their own credentials, because of their own strengths, uh, the NAC grading and all that. So they have basically autonomous structure in creating their own syllabi, in running their own programs basically. So autonomous institute we are concentrating first. In fact, on 23rd of this month, all the autonomic colleges basically been asked to get together, and committee along with the honorable minister and with the principal secretary, we will be actually listening to their issues, problems, concerns, and what the way what we can resolve those issues. So autonomous colleges basically are for us, especially for the 3 years, 3 years degree program to 4 years degree program. The second obviously are going to be the university campuses. Many of the university campuses, in fact, run. Of course, we do not have generally in central universities. There is a concept called conducted colleges. On the campuses itself, they have conducted college where they run degree program. If you look at BHU or Delhi University, the entire of the basically undergraduation is also there on the campuses, which is not the case with most of the public state universities. The public state universities generally run on the postgraduate programs, and then the research that goes on basically the doctoral work that generally happens. So, but there are few actually who have started programs on their own. Like just to give an example, on the campus of the University of Pune, we run a BSc blended program along with Melbourne and ICER, Melbourne University and ICER basically. And we already have actually converting the 3 year degree program to 4 years, wherein, but our number is very small, only 60 students we actually address to 5, 6 disciplines. Apart from that, there are a couple of other graduate programs that we run. So those programs we will be switching over from 3 years to 4 years, depending on obviously the merits of that particular program as such. And then the third institutes that we are looking at are going to be the private universities, or so-called what are called the deemed universities, where again they have a very limited structure, 20, 30,000 students every year getting enrolled for various different programs. So these are the three institutions we are presently concentrating on. It's not going to be all the colleges straight away are getting converted or rather being brought under this particular umbrella. But yes, the BOS at the university level obviously will provide uh, the curricular framework or the syllabus as such. It would be left to the individual colleges whether to adopt it or not. But there would be a possibility of, although a affiliated college which is not autonomous but can be part of this particular program, that some of their credits also can be acquired by a student studying in autonomous basically college. He can actually acquire credits from a normal college which is not running 4 years or 3 years degree program. So that flexibility we are providing to avoid chaos basically. Otherwise, if you start doing it everything at once, it may create some kind of a chaos, because some of the most challenging basically factor that everybody is facing or is the human resource. We have seen for last 5 years or more than that, there is no recruitment that has happened on the campus of the University of Pune, which is the strength of the teaching strength is 385. And when I relinquished my position in the month of May last year, we were running the entire university with 140, 150, with the rest all basically being created through our corpus. So unless and until basically this particular issue is addressed, the human resource, and that is what we are constantly actually engaging in dialogue with the government authorities, at least filling those vacant positions in most of the colleges. Basically. Same is true in most of the colleges. We have seen that they are running with maybe with 50 or 55% of faculty. So unless and until basically this particular part is taken care of, obviously the implementation is going to be a very challenging thing as well. At the same time, the workload, that is another important aspect that I spoke of. What presently we are doing, we are actually trying to look at we had decided actually the 13 or 14 odd universities, what are presently the kind of college structure they have, maybe a lead college, maybe a multidisciplinary college, maybe a unitary college, maybe so various different varieties. That kind of 6 or 7 different colleges from each university we are choosing with the present program and with the addition of say if we are intend to convert it from say 3 years to 4 years with 185 credits is going to be the credit into the work that we are actually trying to model it on the basis of this particular samples as the exercise is on. And in the month of this coming month on 27th and 28th of February, we are again meeting in Jalgaon with the Jalgaon University, where obviously the prior that the pro vice chancellor and dean would work on basically this aspect, what kind of increase is happening and all, and then accordingly they will make the presentation. So we'll be able to understand what is the percent increase in the workload. And then how do we accommodate that, like by maybe extra faculty or by what means such as your issue of like whether you will be paid or not and so on and so forth. So that issue also we will be discussing it with the government authorities once we get that particular figure. Presently, it is all like we are probing in the dark. We don't have any figure like whether he is going to be really increasing the workload or not. Those are just assumptions, but we'll have some sort of confidence, some values we'll have based on which obviously we'll be able to deal it with the government authorities as well. So these are some of the important aspects basically while converting your degree program from 3 years to 4 years. Again, I emphasize that you need to have a strong networking, uh, come what may, in all different areas, not necessarily only science, technology, even social sciences, the NGOs, basically the best of people actually. There are plenty, in fact, in Pune, that way uh, we have a benefit that we are operating in Pune. Industry-wise, there are plenty of industries in and around. And then apart from that, obviously the various different social organizations such as and they will immensely contribute basically in framing the curriculum as well as not just framing the curriculum basically even to a great extent implementing that curriculum also wherein they will come hand in the sense their presence on the campus to a great extent will help immensely. Just to give you an example, on the campus of the University of Pune, during my tenure, we created 3 companies. One is SPPO Research Park Foundation. The idea was basically uh, students generally have great ideas uh, and they have great entrepreneurial skills as well. But most of the time, they do not get a proper platform where the mentoring they generally do not get and all that. And then apart from that, they also require some seed funding as well. So this particular SPPO Research Park Foundation, wherein we actually try to create an ecosystem where the startups will get nurtured. So their idea, their ideation, there would be ideation camp, there would be boot camp, there would be mentoring camps, and the best of the ideas would be taken up on the platform. The mentoring will be provided along with that space as well as some seed funds would be provided. Likewise, there are 40 presently startups working on, and you all know that India is the third largest, perhaps, producer of startups. So, and 115 or 20 of them are presently been converted as unicorn. Unicorn is like uh, one which has basically a turnover of the order of more than 50 crores. And I'm happy to say that at least 2 from University of Pune are unicorn. And this is what basically these wonders can happen provided if right kind of ecosystem is provided to them. So industry started coming, interacting, In fact, I provided a co-location to one of the Kirloskar unit assets. It's called as a C4I for Center for Industry 4.0. And when I provided them space without any payment, in the MOU only it was very mentioned that my student would work as interns. Whatever project you undertake, whatever basically work that you do for the industry, making industry smart, they will be working for all your projects. They will be working as the interns. At the same time, you will be getting some amount of financial assistance or fellowship, and that has immensely worked. That perhaps every small institute also needs to look at. Obviously, some people may say that we are in the rural sector when there is no industry in and around. In what way we can actually, although we wish to, we intend to go for it, but the surrounding ecosystem is not prevailing in the given area. So for that purpose, this committee has decided that in the recent time, the government of Maharashtra has also started Maharashtra State Skill University. And basically, Skill University, we have brought them on along with us on page. And we have given them a mandate that to create basically skill based courses, partner it with the industry. Those models will try to provide to those areas where the industry is not available. So perhaps physically, for a short time, the student may have to shift to the internship program or maybe for the purpose of getting this kind of skilling. But otherwise, through online content, most of the mentoring will happen. So that we are taking care of that, especially for those colleges which are in the rural sector and in and around when there is no industry. So certain issues we are actually looking at, trying to basically resolve them without basically creating sort of any kind of a chaos. But at the same time, the issues where basically the workload and all that, the government has to be on the page. Somewhere the extra workload can be taken care by basically the thing that I talked about, professor of practice, or maybe by basically involving the industry personnel in your not only necessarily formulating the curriculum, but day-to-day teaching or day-to-day research activity also. But somewhere again, there are going to be issues because to provide him basically a guideship also, we have a set of guidelines. He has to be a doctorate with so many number of publications and so on and so forth. So I am in fact that is what I am doing it with UGC in fact, and couple of times myself faced these issues. I can give an example that in Pune there is a National Institute of Naturopathy. The present director basically she's a wonderful person with great number of publications, but she's not doctorate, and she was very keen actually to guide the student. And then obviously such thing get resolved or get decided by our administration. The bureaucracy in fact steps in. They will come with a book of rules that it is not feasible, it is not possible, the rule doesn't allow this and that, and all nonsense would be there. But there are ways and means. I formulated a small committee of expert and submitted the entire of her CV. And based on their recommendation, basically, I took the necessary step and avoided like she would be she is entitled to guidance school person. So similar problem many times you have to face, you will be facing also facing because we are bound by set of rules and every time basically there are the yardstick that we follow, we will not necessarily every time we resolve our issues. For example, signing an MOU is such a tedious process, in fact, because if you intend to have a networking, it just cannot be on the basis of just bold down on, just by saying it will not happen. It has to be jotted down some on the piece of paper, what we call the MOU. So I was signing a MOU basically with another institute, NCPO or National Center for Polar and Oceanic Research in Goa. Now the University Act says that if I am signing an MOU with an organization outside the state of Maharashtra. I have done NOC from that state. I have done NOC from my state. I have done NOC even from the university that exists in that particular area. So NOC from Goa University, NOC from state of Goa, and then one NOC from the state of Maharashtra. And then basically this was something laughable, I would call an institute where at the parliament it is an institute of international repute. And the laughing part was that I am recognizing them as a research center. What nonsense. So these kind of problems are there, but sometimes obviously the leadership that matters. You have to sometimes take very bold decisions, and if you do so, perhaps eventually it benefits. It provides immense benefit for the entire sort of education system as such, especially the students get immensely benefit. If he intends to do research in Antarctica or any aspect of ocean, obviously such institute be located where the ocean is close by. I cannot expect to have NCPO or to be there in Pune. So either it would be in Kerala or Chennai or maybe somewhere in Goa only. So you have to sometimes basically take that particular path. But this kind of a networking that I have seen actually helps immensely in bringing the visibility to the institute, in bringing basically quality kind of a curriculum, and obviously it provides basically immense benefit to the student community. So with these words, I think I have elaborated quite many things. I can go on talking, in fact, but we started late, and then there are a couple of other people in the afternoon today and tomorrow. We'll be talking about various different verticals. So I stop here. Thank you so very much.
Thanks a lot, sir, for enlightening us with your knowledge-rich speech. Many queries, especially related to multiple entry, multiple exit program and credit system appeared in your speech. There are many misconceptions related to multidisciplinary courses. They are explained so well that most of us are now convinced about its implementation, knowing the positive effect. Knowing that implementation of this policy will start from autonomous institutes, we feel responsible as well as privileged and assure you that we will be prepared to face new challenges which are brought about because of this implementation of the new policy. Thanks again, sir. All of us are now very eager to listen to today's guest of honor, eminent educationist Professor A.B. Deshpande, sir. I request A.B. Deshpande, sir, to guide us.
Respected Dr. Nitin Karmalkar, Dr. Mrs. Ekbote, Principal Zindara, Dr. Nivedita Ekbote, Dr. Shamkant Deshmukh, dignitaries of the dais, dear friends. After listening such an enlightening speech, there remains very few things for me to say. The education policy, national education policy, before that, one small clarification I want to make. Mrs. Egbote, when introducing me, said that I was a member of the drafting committee. I was not a member of the drafting committee. We have formed one group of some 6, 7 organizations, and we went on giving several recommendations to the commission, to the Kasturirangan committee. Some of them were well accepted, some of them were not accepted, as some loopholes were there. And the NEP committee headed by Dr. Kasturirangan, accepted our recommendations and suggestions, and not only given a due acknowledgement in the policy with the name of the organization being the head of the group committee groups. Name is also there. So one should not feel that I was there as a member of the drafting committee. That I'm very renowned in the committee. Apart, but listening Dr. Karmalkar, thought that now we are on the verge of implementation and the theory part is already covered by us. The national education policy says very specific words that I remember in the speech of Dr. Kasturirangan also, that the present education system needs to be readjusted, number one, revamped, number two, and re-energized, number three. These three words are very attractive. They have a great meaning for us to consider. And therefore I quoted here. As modern college is concentrating on some three, four aspects, there are some other colleges and university departments, they are taking care of some other aspects as well. I have 3 points in my mind to express here in a very short way. Number one, that there is a background in which the NEP has been given, and that background is very clearly mentioned in the policy statement. One is that there is a tremendous technological development that is going to shape our education process. Artificial intelligence and machine learning and so many things. So this makes us think about the changes that we want to make in the policy as well as the implementation of the policy. Number two, in the last 10-15 years, there is an emergence of aspirational youth. A very good term is being used by the educators and by the experts in education. That is aspirational youth. In small towns, in small colleges also we find that there is a talent of very good students. That talent is unfortunately not being used properly. And so using that talent, giving them opportunity, say for employment or improving their employability, that is the emergence of aspirational youth, which can be seen in the dividend that we call it our being youth or the country of youth, demographic dividend. We are seeing the results of that process, that the demographic dividend is there and it is demanding a lot from the present system. And third thing that it can be quoted here from the policy itself, that it is necessary to improve our gross enrollment ratio. At present, as policy quotes, the gross enrollment ratio is about 25%, 27%, and the NEP aspires to take it to 50% in next 10 years. So on the one hand, it is technological development that compels us to improve and charge our process. Secondly, it is gross enrollment ratio that is also forcing us to make some changes from employability point of view, from skills point of view. And thirdly, I find that in the whole process of reforms in education, the centrality is of a teacher, and therefore the teacher training the teachers, as we have
gathered here in such a big number, it is necessary to do that. And so training to teachers who are the people on the ground to implement the policy. The policy has created some landmarks, and those landmarks we find in the structural changes part of the policy. Structural changes at the school level and at the higher education level as well. 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 is a big change at the 3 years of a child also taken care of while making it. And for that, our Anganwadi teachers also need a scientific training. So everything is taken care of by the policy and the development of even a child from the school education to the university education. We find that there is a consistency. There is a holistic approach taken by the policymakers, and that is going to give a lot of benefits for the development of our education process. When we call it as education process, I describe it in 4 factors, or we can call it 4 aspects. The national education policy is basically comprehensive. Several aspects have been deliberated in details in the policy. Such a big statement covering all the aspects of it, I consider it as a comprehensive process. Similarly, it is inclusive as well, covering a large part of students. There has to be some inclusive approach on the part of the government. Special education zones are going to be created. Socially and economically disadvantaged students are going to get a lot as a help to complete their education, to develop their capabilities. So these are the things that we find in the inclusiveness of it. Thirdly, which attracts me more is that it is holistic. As a student of NEP, I find that right from the school education having impact on the higher education, there is an element of holisticness. It is entirely holistic, not in pieces. The national education policy is concentrating on one point when speaking about the background in which the policy should be thought. They said that there was a problem and there is a problem of fragmentation. And this fragmentation is a very serious issue, that a very small number is to be considered there. National education policy quotes the figures that in the fragmentation process, 40% of the colleges in our country have single program, one program only. And they have been running this institution for years together. A point that struck me, that if it is so, what is going to happen with the aspirational youth? They have everything with them. They have skills, they have capacity of understanding even the scientific terms which appear apparently some complicated things. But this aspirational youth will be entirely neglected just because they are living in small towns or villages. Their capacity is not being used. That is fragmentation. That sense says that more than 40% of the students are undergoing the single program college, one program only. Another figure they quote is more than 20% of the colleges in our country, so far as this fragmentation is concerned, having strength less than 100. Less than 100 strength, 20% colleges, and there are only 4% colleges who have strength of students more than 3,000. Such a fragmented thing is there. One particular city gives a lot, or one big college like modern college is giving several options to our students. and their likings are being nurtured very skillfully. But other colleges, small colleges, colleges in towns, in small spaces, they have no scope for that. I think the national education policy has opened a door for them. That is inclusiveness, that approach in it. And fourth thing that I consider it more because people have it, that is a futuristic policy. We are thinking of next 25 years, 30 years, even 40 years. The aspects that Dr. Karmarkar explained here, they are not going to take place overnight. It will take some time. And therefore, it is a futuristic approach that the policy has taken. And therefore, the content of the policy and the expectations that policy is making of our students, that is going to change the whole picture. While reading it, I remembered one thing, and I quote it at several places. In 1967-68, the report of the Kothari Commission was given to the then government, and it was a fantastic policy. If we read it, the Kothari Commission policy, we realize it that how their view was visionary, how their thinking was visionary. In the preface of it, or I would say that the dedication of it, Kothari Commission has given one thing and elaborated it at length. But that statement is there, which is applicable to this policy also, and that says that destiny of the nation is going to be shaped in the classrooms of the schools. Destiny of the nation. See, such a big challenge that we are there to change the destiny. We are going to change the psyche. We are going to change the picture of the manpower of our country. And that is a big challenge. I am not an expert in it because all those aspects which have been explained by Dr. Karmarkar, they are the operative parts of it. They are very important. But the challenge on the whole is so big that we have to be prepared to accept the challenges, to find out the ways to overcome them, and making it as a grand exercise for transforming the process of education of our country. This transformation is going to take place in the next 10-15 years. It may take some time, but it will give very good results for our country. So the points that have been explained by Dr. Karmarkar, they deal with the specific aspects. He's an expert in it, and fortunately, we have got a committee under his chairmanship that is going to see the operative part of it and see to it that it is implemented properly. I congratulate the office bearers, principal of Modern College for organizing such a big workshop and enlightening our teaching fraternity in national education policy. And finally, I congratulate all the teacher colleagues who are sitting here for their curiosity, for their participation, and in future for their contribution to the development of this, what has been said in the policy. With these words, I thank the organizers once again, and I stop here. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, A.P. Deshpande sir. Your knowledge and experience in the field of education reflected in your speech. Uh, you elaborated on the role of national education policy from school level to university level. We were unaware about the holistic approach of the national education policy. Now, we will surely now go through the details of the policy and welcome its implementation with open arm. Thanks a lot, sir. It was a great pleasure to host you at our college as a guest of honor. I appreciate your interest in the well-being of the youth. Thanks again. It is said that gratitude paints little smiley faces on everything it touches. Whatever you appreciate and give thanks for will increase in your life. I invite the secretary of this conference, Professor Sham, to offer vote of thanks.
Honorable Principal Dr. A.B. Deshpande sir, BMCC College and Founder President SEDA, Honorable Professor Dr. Nitin Karmalkar sir, former Vice Chancellor Savitribai Phule Pune University and Chairman Steering Committee to implement NEP in the state of Maharashtra, Honorable Professor Dr. Josna Ekbote, Joint Secretary Progressive Education Society, Chairperson CDC, Modern College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Autonomous Shivajinagar, Honorable Professor Dr. Nivedita Ekbote, Deputy Secretary Progressive Education Society, Honorable Principal Dr. Rajendra Dundarao sir, all my teacher colleagues, participants, and resource person. As it is rightly said, change is the only constant, and we have to face challenges of the changes which are taking place in days to come as far as higher education system is concerned. We have to change along with the time, with the changing condition. It is normal human tendency that we human beings don't accept changes very easily, and we are a bit reluctant to accept the changes. As far as we Indians are concerned, unless and until things are not made compulsory, mandatory, we don't accept them. These are the several. There are several examples related to this. As all you know that, as far as central government is concerned, when Aadhaar cards they were made mandatory, initially there was less response to that particular activity of the central government. But when it is made compulsory, all of them they have started applying for the same. Similarly, when gas cylinder booking, it was not available through phone call, and we used to make phone call in order to book gas cylinder. But when it has started that we have to register booking of a cylinder only through registered mobile, people have started doing it. Similarly, there is an example of a FASTag. Earlier, when FASTag it was not compulsory, we as a user were not at all interested in adopting FASTag. But when it is made mandatory, as of a sudden we had realized that we should go with it. Why I'm telling all these things, as far as NEP is concerned, we should not wait that state government and central government is going to make it mandatory. We have to welcome it, and that's why this is the basic notion behind arranging this particular national conference to sensitize different stakeholders of the education system and the higher education system about NEP 2020, to create awareness amongst the stakeholders about NEP 2020, to illustrate and elaborate how this National Education Policy 2020 will be useful in nation building, to strengthen Industry Academia Association role of NEP 2020, to make our student industry ready from the day one by means of skills, vocational education, experiential learning, and so on, to provide academic flexibility and mobility in order to make education more interesting, which will ultimately produce excellent, fruitful results and outcome. In a true sense, we have to welcome national education policy and adopt and accept changes in the existing system. This is the main motto behind arranging this particular national conference. We are fortunate Professor A.V. Deshpande sir. He has guided us in this particular session. Busy schedule, he has accepted and delivered excellent speech with a NEP 2020. He had mentioned in his speech about the revamp, re-engineered and readjusted. So higher education system is to be revamped, re-energized and readjusted. At the same time, how role of artificial intelligence and machine learning is going to take place in days to come. At the same time, sir had mentioned about increase of gross enrollment ratio and what all challenges related to increasing this gross enrollment ratio as far as our country is concerned. Then sir had narrated one important term, that is aspirational youth. We have to encourage them from the nation building point of view. At the same time, sir, statistics related to Indian higher education system and futuristic policy to be adopted in order to develop our nation. So we are grateful to you, sir. We are thankful to Professor Dr. Nitin Karmakar, sir, for his speech and keynote address. As a part of his keynote address, sir has narrated 4-year degree program, what all its advantages, credit system related to 4-year degree program, how 3-year degree programs will remain as it is, what will be the advantage when 4-year programs they'll get introduced. At the same time, multiple entry, multiple exit, skilling, experiential learning, then research projects, honors degree, 7-year window, and at the same time, how our students will be industry ready and multidisciplinary approach challenges related to board of studies in order to frame the syllabus, in order to revamp the syllabus. All these things that are explained very well in his keynote address. Sir, we are grateful to you for accepting our invitation and delivering keynote address in this particular national conference. We are thankful to Professor Dr. Josna Ekote, Madam. She has given speech. She has narrated about Peace Society, Modern College in General, NEP, and how to prepare ourselves to face the challenges related to NEP. We are thankful to Principal Dr. Rajendra Zundarao, sir, for accepting our invitation to welcome this particular national conference of 2 days on NEP 2020. Sir is a leader of Model College. Under his able guidance, we are progressing. Since he is working as principal of this college 2007, college has progressed a lot. We are thankful to Professor Dr. Nivedita Ikote for her gracious presence for this inaugural function. We are thankful to Savitribai Phule Pune University authorities for providing funds to organize this particular conference under the quality improvement program of Savitribai Phule Pune University. I am thankful to all my colleagues, teaching and non-teaching staff members, student volunteers, resource persons who are present, and finally, not but least, all participants who have present, who have registered for this particular national conference and shown their interest in order to accept the challenges related to NEP 2020. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Deshmukh sir. After this program, now we are proceeding